Hello, welcome to another episode of E-VIN Tips and Tricks. And today, as you can see, I am standing right next to a charging station of Electrify America. However, today's topic, we're gonna explore another very popular option of charging is charging at home. So let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of E-VIN. And today I am very happy to have with me Leo Doe, Athena, and Tabata. So Athena and Tabata are our very proud VFA owners, and Leo Doe is a solar expert. And today, of course, we're going to talk about solar and what it has to do with a VFA. Hello, guys. Can you introduce a little bit about yourself, and also when did you have your VFA? Start with Athena.
My name is Athena. I'm the executive admin for TE Real Estate Group, and I received my car on June 15th of this year.
Perfect.
My name is Tabitha Loiza. I'm a realtor and productivity coach here with TE Real Estate in Keller Williams. I received my car 4 weeks ago as a VFA.
Nice. So the reason why we have today is because we always EV is like the trends right now. That is the future, especially for Californian. But in order for you to use the EV efficiently and maximize it, you have to tie it to the energy, right? Their fuel source, and that's solar, and that's why you're here. So you're gonna, and I'm brand new to the topic as well. So I would like to ask, so what is the relationship, the tight relationship between solar integration and EV? And can you share with us like what the type of the solar system out there that we can all learn?
So, for the most part, if you have an electric vehicle, no customer wants to go to the charging station every day or every other day to have to charge their car. Most customers would like to be at home, where they feel safe and they're comforted, and they're actually paying a lot less for electricity after 9 p.m. Right? So when you talk about electric vehicles and solar, the benefits outweigh the costs. So one of the biggest questions I get is, Leo, how much am I actually saving on a monthly basis? So I'll give you some rough numbers here. The average driver spends about $50 a week for gas to and from work. Okay, so let's call it $200 a month. The same electrical driver that's going to be taking the same route to work and back, I would say, depending on the car and how much they're flooring their actual electric car, you're going to be paying about 100 to 150 at the end of the year. Now that I'm going to take that 150 number. So that $50 savings might not be big for a customer per month, but if you multiply it by 12 months and then 10 years, that's when you see a big savings, right? So average driver is going to save over $1,000 in gas money using an electric vehicle. So that's the biggest, I would say, the biggest consumption when it comes to electric vehicles and solar. When it comes to solar, number one, you want to have enough solar to power up your house, but you also want to have enough excess energy to power up your electrical vehicle, right? Here in California, electric rates have rapidly been increasing over the years. They've gone up 100% over the last 10 years and 4% every year after that, right? So we're still winning the battle when it comes to electricity versus gasoline, as far as per mile range and whatnot.
So when you talk about the solar system, like for example, we know that Tapata has been the moment that you got the car for 2 weeks, right? Can you share a little bit of story about, because I would like you to share with the audience. So what happened after you get your car for 2 weeks? What do you install? And right now, what actually are you looking at for your home to charge the vehicle?
When I purchased my car, I didn't ask the question, how do I charge it? I was excited about the VinFast. I checked about the warranty. I checked about all the things that a person checks about. Did not ask one question about how do I charge it. The day I had to charge it, I didn't realize I had to have an app. I didn't realize all these things that you had to do. I'm like, what am I doing? And it's heavy, you know? So with 2 weeks of going to different stations, not having that one working, it was an inconvenience for me. So I had a direct line installed in my panel at home. So now I have a home electric channel charger, which is so convenient. So my experience has been great at home. I know if I'm driving far, I obviously have to go and charge. But as you were talking about savings, as a realtor during the pandemic, I was spending almost $1,000 in gas, traveling, taking clients here and there, Sacramento, Merced. I drive all over the place. That's how I represent my clients. So my savings alone right now have cut down to maybe just even 10% of overall costs. Yes, amazing. So my experience has been a little bit rough in the beginning because I had to learn how to charge it, where to charge it. But we just got a charger installed in my home, and we are extremely happy. It's like so convenient. I get to get up, go to work. I don't have to worry about where I'm charging. Now that I have this charging panel, I have to figure out what to do with the extra energy. So now I have to figure about installing panels. And I was not a solar person. I was not about electric car, but it's actually working out for me as a realtor in my career and my family.
10%. That's amazing. That's
Amazing.
is an amazing number. So to throw it back to you, Leo. So can you actually, because I'm a newbie, like I don't know anything about solar installation, integration, and system. So can you tell us a little bit more about before you, what do you need to do? What do you need to know before you install the solar system? The number of panel, whatnot, what if, right? And then what is the benefit? Like, what do you get incentive from the state or whatever?
Absolutely. So that's many questions. Let me go one at a time.
Yeah, it's like it's rolling here.
I know. It's okay. So there are a lot of incentives, obviously. You have the California rebates, you have the federal rebates, and then one of the biggest perks that I love is be able to drive on the carpool lane during rush hour, right? I mean, that alone will save you a couple hours if you're driving long distance, just like Tabitha is right now. So when it comes to solar, how much do I need? How many panels do I need? So the way I would normally talk to a customer is I would ask them to send me their PG&E bill. From that, I would get a range of how much electricity they're using on an annual basis. I would go ahead and propose a number of panels for the customer. Okay. From that, we'll jump into the electric vehicle. Hey, Leo, I just got a new EV. Okay. Mrs. Jones, how many miles do you drive each year? Are you the average 10,000 a mile year driver? Or are you like Tabitha, you drive 15,000 miles a year showing clients around, right? So depending on that number, I will punch those numbers into my software and it'll calculate for me how many extra panels we're gonna need to completely fill up your car without having to pay extra, charging outside. So that's usually how it works. So it's I don't want to get into the details of it, but it's kilowatt hours per dollar amount, right? When we get into the details, customers might get a little bit confused, but essentially that's how it works. How much you're driving on an annual basis, I calculate that for you, and maybe it's usually about 5 or 6 additional panels with the most current panel. So that's 400 watts, okay, times 5 panels. So it's about a 2 kilowatt system to charge your car over fully on an annual basis if you are that typical 10K driver.
How do you feel? How do you feel, Athena, hearing all those information?
That sounds like me. I'm very newbie. I got my car, like I said, in June, and I drive everywhere, every day, and I have to charge my car, like, I would say, if I'm driving a lot, probably once a day. If I'm not, then maybe 2 days, one time. And every time I sit there at the charging station, it's probably like an hour and a half. Yeah.
That's why they make those charging stations at convenient places like Target locations and big shopping plazas so that you can go.
And I'm working in my car.
Exactly. Go, spend some time, walk around, get your feet loose a little bit. So that's another incentive is that California has the most charging stations in the United States by far right now. New York and Florida would be number 2 and 3, but I mean they're not even close to how many charging stations we have. So I believe that's one of the biggest benefits living here in California, owning an EV and having solar, all three. I mean the amount of savings is exponential in the long run.
And also going back to what Tabata shared earlier, you were wondering to put in the panel or the batteries, right? Are you wondering about the batteries earlier? Because when you have the exact amount of energy from solar?
I discovered that as I have my charging station, I can also get the benefits of having that electricity stored. But I didn't know that. So now we're looking at, I need to get panels. And mind you, I don't have that. I have a small little modest house in Berryessa Hills over here, and but I'm excited about doing that because if I can have benefits, but I don't know the benefits, I didn't know about the rebates. I didn't know about anything or how you can measure what my mileage is, but I spend a lot of money in gas. And if it's going to save me, and I show up in a nice, beautiful car, it's electric, mind you, and I'm a Hispanic community. I'm probably the first Hispanic to own an EV car, the VinFast. So everyone's asking me everywhere I go, Tabitha, how do you like the electricity? I love it. But now I need to know how to generate more and get more benefits. So I'm learning as well. Athena, well, I'm always asking her questions. We talk to each other about our cars because we have nobody else. So we're learning as we're growing.
So about batteries or not, what do you say?
Absolutely. So again, won't get into too much detail, but this April of 2023, PG&E is obviously the monopoly in electricity here in the California. They change up a few things. So in today's day, you're going to need solar and batteries to get the full benefits of what solar is going to do. Essentially, what I'm saying is the power that you're producing from solar, if you're not home to use it, PG&E will actually take it back from you now. Versus back then, they allowed you to store it. So nowadays, if you do have an additional battery, so let's say you wake up in the morning, we're getting the kids ready for school. We tend to send them off to school and then we go to work, right? From I would say 9 o'clock to about 2, nobody's home. So let's say you have solar on your roof currently. That energy that you're producing, PG&E is taking 30% of that. Sorry, yeah. Now, if we had that battery, the power we're producing when the sun wakes up, it'll go stored to your battery. When you get home from work and PG&E's rates go from 25 cents to 48 cents per kilowatt hour during the high peak hours, again, this is also dependent on the rate that you currently have for your home, right? Normal person without an electric vehicle has a regular rate. Electric vehicle has they call it an EVA rate, which is a special rate for customers with EVs because they charge you even a lower price charging it after 9 p.m.
Good information.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So solar and battery is the future, and you definitely need both to really maximize it. Solar alone, unfortunately, will not do that anymore. Also, sorry to go back, one of the major benefits I forgot to mention earlier is that you get 30% off of your solar and battery project. So if your project's 50 grand, you're actually getting 30% from the federal tax credits. So an example of that would be, hey, Leo, how do I use that? Do I just get an instant rebate? No, the answer would be if you pay taxes at the end of the year, or if you decided to sell, $100,000 worth of stocks and you don't want to pay those taxes, that 30% incentive from your solar and battery will be written off from that. So that's another huge incentive that people love.
That's really good information for homeowners as well, especially that we're doing real estate, how it links from a home to a car.
Exactly. And if you were thinking about re-roofing or had to re-roof your roof and you did solar, add that onto the 30% federal tax credit also. Wow. Yeah. Little loopholes here and there, right? But it's essentially it's saying if you go green, the government will give you a thumbs up and they will pass it on. So a lot of things you try to file for, they make it challenging for you, but anything that's green, that's better than the environment, zero emissions to better our world, the government will sign it through fairly fast. And I've seen that in the 5 years that I've been with solar.
So the question now is when, right?
Well, once we leave here, Leo, I'm going to start talking to Leo about solar panels and battery, because I'm all in. I was a skeptic prior. Obviously, we'll hear about the VinFast, but I've had nothing but a great experience, and I'm extremely happy. So it makes me even more motivated when I get up to go in my car and I pull up at a client's house, anywhere. They're asking me about this car, and I'm not well versed in it yet. I know how to drive it. I know how to set in my settings. I know how to charge it, but there's so much luxury and so much convenience that I don't have to stop 3 times to stop and put gas. That $120, I'm spending $100 some a day in gas. So for me, it's such a luxury, and that's really what it is. So now I need to learn about the solar. My husband is here, and we're going to talk to you, Leo, because we need to know what are the benefits and how I can help with my PG&E bill, the kilowatts, and doing the math so I can maximize what I'm doing.
And how about you, Athena? And also, when you've heard all that, are you considering maybe?
I'm very, very considering. I think I'm all about helping people and showing people what's better and what's the best. So I think with this, it just helps. It's just helping with the car, helping with the home, and with everything that we do in our daily lives. It's just about acknowledging and teaching people what we know. And so it's good information that we're learning today.
And also, I've also learned through this conversation is that you two are probably first EV user, right? So, and Leo shared something earlier also is that have you tried to drain the battery and go out, go from 0% to 100%? But I've heard that isn't it we're not supposed to go under 20 and not over 80? So why that recommendation? And what is about the range anxiety? Can you explain a little bit more?
The question for Tabitha earlier is because I don't know the answer to that question, right? I wanted to personally know how long it took to charge your car fully from 0 to 100. I haven't been there myself personally, so
Have we been there?
no, that's not the way to go, obviously. If you're taking a long road trip and just like the lady said earlier, they're running on that last 10 miles, right? Now we have to turn everything off. We want to make sure that our phone's not being charged. We're not blasting the music. We might be a little bit hot. Okay, you got to turn off the AC because we need to make it to that charging station. But then again, to roll back to that, at about, I would say 30-20%, you should start looking for the next station, which should be within, I would say, a 20-30 mile range at the very most in California here. So that's my recommendation.
So I was just curious. So how was the reaction, you ladies, when that happened? Like that last 10 mile, that last whatever mile?
I was working on a luxury home, $2 million home. Me and my husband were working on it. And so we're driving here and there, and I'm taking the VinFast, and we're like at 20 miles. Okay, let's go find a charging station, right? We couldn't find a charging station that worked, didn't accept the phone app. And so we had to travel. We're at 7 miles, couldn't get it. We're at Rotten Robbie. We're at every place we could think of the locations by my house. My husband's like, okay, we got 3 miles left. I'm like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna tow the truck? And I'm like looking for a mobile EV charger because there are people here in California that they'll come to. We were like at a wit's end, like, what am I gonna do? We got to the one in Berryessa, on Berryessa and Capitol by the flea market. We charged there probably for about 45 minutes. It got us about 56 in the 50 range. And we're like, okay, let's go home. After that, like, we're not doing this no more. We're gonna make sure that we're at a certain range so I don't have to worry. So every morning my husband would wake up 7 o'clock, take my car to charge so I can go to work. And then after that, we just talked about the panel. I want a direct line. It's an inconvenience for me. Money is time for me in real estate. I got to get up and go. I can't be, I can work when I'm parked. It was just the right option, great price. I mean, it was just the right decision to make for my personal life.
So for me, I've had this happen maybe 2-3 times where it's gone to 0
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm dragging. But yeah, so when it gets to around, I would say 30 miles, that's when you need a charge. Don't wait till you're 30 miles or less because the numbers just drop. I've noticed like it goes from 30 and then it'll just skip to 25 and then it'll go down to 15 and I'm losing miles. Yeah.
But you know what? Good thing that we have the VinFast warranty, 10 years, 125,000 miles, right? Bumper to bumper. So no, don't try that too often because we don't want to get stuck.
A person like me who doesn't know anything, who wants to install solar, how do we go about that? Who do we contact? What are like usually the deals? How long do we have to be in contract? How long is the lease? Stuff like that. Can you?
I mean, for now, you can definitely contact me, and I can give you some recommendations. So at least for the very most, you can share with me a PG&E bill, or you could simply let me know like, hey, Leo, I average like maybe $200 a month in just electric, right? Because you have electric and gas, and they do come on the same bill, so you have to learn how to separate those two things. If you don't have that number, there's an annual kilowatt number in which you can easily access if you log onto your PG&E website. From that either screenshot or those numbers that you share with me, I'll input into my software and it'll generate and let me know exactly how many panels you need. So that's as simple as that. From there, we get into more specific details such as, what type of panels we carry, and then the inverter, and then the batteries, the warranties on these, right? So that's very important. And then the last thing would be, when is installation, right? Because that's a very important for some customers. I mean, some customers want it right now. However, I've found out that in the past, if you reach out to a company and they say, "Hey, we can install next week," that's probably not a company you want to go with. Definitely not. Yeah. A company with some background, and you can easily do research on these companies through Diamond Certified, Yelp, or Google. Yeah.
I have a question. Blackout. Blackout. Is that battery going to allow me to retain that when we have to, Gavin Newsom is saying, "Hey, Tab, we have to shut off the powers, don't charge your cars." Is my battery going to allow me to charge the car without the solar panel? Yes?
That's a great question, Tabitha. The answer is no, unfortunately. With the battery, you have to, okay, what most people don't understand, that even the biggest batteries on the market today cannot power up a whole house. They do a lot of false advertising. When it comes to it's all about amperage, and this is more into the electrician side. So most homes today, let's say 2,000 square foot and up, they have a 200 amp main service panel. The biggest battery on the market today runs off of 80 amps only, 80 amps continuous. There's no way that 80 amps can power a whole house at 200 amps. So the reality is, a bad company would say, "Oh, we can back this, and that up for you," realistically. But when you do have a blackout, things are gonna trip, and they're gonna get a call from you, and it's gonna be ugly. I work for, I think, currently the best small solar company in the Bay. We keep it very real with the customers. There's things that you can do and things you cannot do when there's a blackout. The basic things would be, if I were to ask a customer, "Hey, Mrs. Jones, what would you like to keep on if there was a blackout?" It would usually be the fridge, freezer, thousands of dollars worth of food. You have lights around the house, and then internet, because you want to make sure your cameras are still working, for security reasons, right? And that'll be the basics. When you talk about charging a car, running the dishwasher, or something major, right, during a blackout, nobody ever thinks about doing any of those things. They just want to keep the lights on. They want to make sure that the kids are safe, that security and internet are on. So going back to the battery question, no, you cannot charge your car. Sorry, you can. It'll deplete the battery that quick. Now your fridge is not going to work anymore. Now the lights are going to be off, and you definitely don't want that to happen. So again, it's how much you can invest into the battery backup, along with the solar, and then how much you're currently using at home. So there's bits and pieces that you have to plug in together, and I'll share a little bit more with you probably after this. Yeah.
Any other question?
Wow, I'm just like so enlightened.
I'm
Yeah.
like soaking everything in right now.
Yeah, thank you, Leo. I'm really glad I had the experience to have you here. I've learned so much today about. There's so much more ahead of me, but that was a concern. And being a diesel user, blackouts, that kind of stuff. But you gave. So as a realtor, when I'm selling a house or buying a house, is it leased or owned? I know all that. I know. Yeah.
With a lot of realtors and general contractors. One of the new rules in California is any new build must have solar. So I'm not sure if you guys knew that already. There's a minimum, but at the same time, customers are like, "Why am I going to do the minimum? I'm building a $3-4 million home. Why would I not invest 20, 30 grand into solar?" It doesn't even make sense.
I was against it. I was like, why are you going to make me do solar? Why? That's how I felt until I got my EV car. Mind you, I am not an EV person. I was like anti until I got my car. So we did our homework. Wasn't an easy transition for us. I am so happy. And I didn't realize the relevance of all the benefits that was going to happen for me. So I'm a newbie, I'm learning. But yeah, I'm an advocate for my VinFast and the EV. And this one inspired me. This crazy Energizer bunny here drives all over the place as much as I do. So I'm like, yeah, it's a win-win. Can't go wrong.
And I'm thankful that VFA were able to be the first EV to make you help to make the change.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next 3 years. I'm getting a new one. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to get another one. What's the next version? You
Are
know?
you guys glad you don't have to change your oils anymore?
Exactly.
You know, my trunk, my hood's a trunk. I'm washing the car this morning. I'm like, hey, this is a trunk. I forgot because I don't, you know. So it's just great. It's awesome. So thank you for letting us be here. Athena's a true. She drives so many miles a day. So seeing her with her happiness with her EV made me want to inspire me that it's probably the better option for me. So thank you, Thane. Thank you, VinFast.
Thank you, guys.